We human beings have emotions, have feelings, and feelings in emotion is emotions. And emotions, if we don't control them, oftentimes run the show. We want to be perfectionist and professional, and want to be the best version of ourselves. And all mm, this the noise in our head, it's emotions. If we don't learn to scan our body for that feeling, what happens is that feeling, we start to believe in that feeling and in that thought, and we're sabotaging our own success. But it's made up in here, which is why we want to learn to scan the language of the brain and say, hey, how true is that? What if the opposite was true? That's part of is the essence of being an emotional, intelligent leader, is really to read the energy, read everyone else's emotions also who haven't learned it. Because then, as a trusted advisor, you can call out, hey, why are you so sad right now? Why are you so angry right now? That gives you an unfair advantage.
Hello, Camilla. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Hey, Elisha, I'm doing amazing, and thanks for having me here.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Camilla, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Camilla, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest that in yourself. And oftentimes, Camilla, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Camilla, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves are all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Camilla, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Camila. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so, so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the incredible and amazing Camila that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to say no to you. And get into it a little bit about you, the beautiful stuff that you're doing, your philosophies, your insight, the impact your work is having, and now you're offering your solutions. These stuffs are beautiful. So I've got to say thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate you. Mhm.
Wow, that was really deep. Thank you for seeing me. And you're just so right that hadn't I invested in myself, we wouldn't have had this conversation.
That's so true. And thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And thank you for being here. So let's get started, Camila. You see, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for hmm, two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Camila, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, Camila, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness, ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Camila on the show It's for the sake of the audience. You see, Camilla, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Camilla, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey. Because right now, we are so curious. We want to know how Camila got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Camila, over to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for such a beautiful intro. So, trying to get that you're tuned and tuning into your energy and frequency. So, my name is Camilla Calberg. I run the Calberg. We rebranded it Camilla Calberg International company, where we set people up for success. We talk about superhuman leading. What we're talking about today as well, being is superhuman, being so aware, consciously being. I work with people at Fortune 500 companies, BP, Shell, IBM, and so much more. And people are reaching out to me primarily because they listen to my story and they understand the energy, and then they can tap into a different frequency, but more so also that they struggle with people pleasing when they hear my story, what I share about people pleasing, being a perfectionist, and it burns them out, and they want to have more light, be lighter as a leader, and help me not dimming my light when I'm in a room with people I perceive as more controlling and dominant. So that's where my heart is. Also, emotional intelligence, help them understand and read the room and read themselves. And my bigger mission is to teach and train as many people as I possibly can in emotional intelligence, because that is the new key in leadership, and that will give people an unfair advantage, because it's not something we learn in school and in business school.
That's so true. Very, very correct. Emotional intelligence. Nah, they didn't teach us that at schools. Never. They didn't. I tell you. And it's a beautiful one you're doing, Camilla. I tell you. And what you're doing is so important in this world. And that makes you a great asset to this planet. Thank you so very much for what you're doing. So I've got some questions here for you. Are you ready for me?
I'm ready.
All right. So let's do it. So what does it take for a woman to stop shrinking and own a place in the room?
Oh, you always ask some good questions. What does it take for a woman to stop shrinking?
Yeah. And own a place in the room.
Own a place. Okay. And it really goes together, right? Stop shrinking is to the step one is to understand, and that's so vulnerable. But we get to really face our deepest fears. Why is it that we shrink? Could it be that that man that you give power away? Could he remind you of your dad? Who is he reminding you of? Well, you feel less than, and you're giving automatically power away. So we get, my body's responding now. We get to really be curious about our patterns. And the next step to own our room is understand that everything is made up in our mind. So it's about I say, thoughts that don't set you up for success, put them back on shelf A and pull down another thought. And remember that you're in that room to serve, not to be liked, but to serve. And when they step into that room, I call it trusted advisor, suddenly has nothing to do with them. It's all about like being so present in the moment. To dare to say, why are you sitting like that? Or why are you saying like that? Then they start automatically to start owning the room and the conversation.
Everything is made up in our minds. And you're not in the room to be liked but to serve. Amazing. Now I see why your folks like you and the beautiful impact you're making. You've got some incredible stuff here. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so you talked about emotional intelligence earlier. So, why is emotional intelligence becoming the most important leadership skill today? Can you talk to us about that?
Oh, I can. And thanks for bringing that up, that question. Uh, okay, we all human beings. We human beings have emotions, have feelings, and feelings in emotion is emotions. And emotions, if we don't control them, oftentimes run the show. But we can have, I call it, and when I do the training, a feeling, a love and hate is just like a feeling, right? But when you feel it, you give it meaning and you give it energy. And at work, then we oftentimes like over pleasing, we want to be professional, perfectionist and professional, and want to be the best version of ourselves. And all mm, this the noise in our head, it's emotions. What if I don't say the right stuff? Does he like me? Oh, he looked at me. But that are feelings that we feel them. Deepak Chopra call it sensation in our body. And if we don't learn to scan our body for that feeling, what happens is that feeling, we start to believe in that feeling and in that thought, and we're sabotaging our own success. But it's made up in here, which is why we want to learn to scan our body. We want to learn to scan the language of the brain and say, hey, how true is that? What if the opposite was true? What if I'm just here to serve? And that's part of it. That's part of the essence of being an emotional intelligent leader, is really to read the energy, read everyone else's emotions also who haven't learned it. Because then, as a trusted advisor, you can call out, hey, why are you so sad right now? Why are you so angry right now? That gives you an unfair advantage. And it just is next level because we have learned in school and from our upbringing not to listen to our emotions, but we are human beings. So why stuff it away? We can't. So that's really why I'm so passionate about it. And because I've been on my journey and I know being a victim of my emotions and then controlling it and the freedom it has given me, not only in my head, but also in my body.
But also in your body. I got that. So let's look at I achieving women. So for I achieving women who want impact without burnout, what is the first step towards that balance?
Impact without burnout. That's a really good question. Um, there can be many first steps, but there's one that's typically shows up in my conversations or the conversations I have, and that is, how good are you at delegating? Not very good at delegating, which means that they don't maybe don't trust their team members to that they do a good enough job. But that's again coming from fear rather than trusting that you have amazing people on your team and help them grow. But there's also so much of fear indicating that they're afraid of failing, right? Because they're not in control. And which one of the reasons, or I think the primary reason why also CEOs don't delegate as much as they could. Um, and another way to influence is really and creating impact is to help them understand what data or insights are you not sharing, which would help your stakeholder really get unstuck. And most often people don't ask questions and I ask the questions to a surface level because they know what they want, but most people don't know what they need. So that's the first step as well, is why do you don't delegate and how do you actually show up in that room? What information do you share? What conversation do you have?
Hmm. What informations do you share and what conversations do you have? Most people knows what they want, but they don't know what they need. I got that. So, seeing how experienced you are, Camilla, and how beautiful your work is, how has the journey been so far? And when those tough moments strikes, how did you overcome?
So my journey and how can we phrase that? The other question is how I overcome struggles. Is that what you are?
Yeah,
Mm,
that's right.
yeah. So um, when I started this journey, I was still in this very unhealthy relationship, and I had no idea about emotional intelligence, not at all. I couldn't even relate to that. I read a book long time ago about, I think, David Goldman, I think it's called, like emotional intelligence. What the dude is that, right? But then soon after, I decided to decouple, and my ex-partner then um, invited me to court. I was still a victim of my emotions, and I'm going to write something about it really soon. But this conversation opened everything. I was in court, and it was the first time lawyers talked about that energy is contagious. And if I didn't elevate my emotions and started to not be a victim of my emotions, it would have an impact on my daughter. And I was shocked that you had to go to court to discuss emotional intelligence. And I had people say I had a choice. I didn't see that I could, but I had no other way to go to learn to upregulate myself so that I could be the best model for my daughter. And so I healed her outside therapist. And a long story short, I was a victim of everything happening in my outer world, but so much is going on out also in my outer world. But I now found inner peace because I allow myself to be happy. And it's such an important message I want to share with your audience. Even though I started all this when my sister was diagnosed with cancer, how can I be happy when someone else is suffering or battling with cancer? And my mentor said, you can. And this might sound maybe so counterintuitive, but the more you love yourself, the more in balance you are, the better you can serve and help other people. And
True.
that's how I just continue to grow as a human being, have inner balance.
That's so true. Because you cannot give what you don't have. If you love yourself, you'll be able to love others well. I got that. That's a beautiful one. So, what is next for your beautiful and very important company?
Thank you so much for asking and for recognizing that. The next step is to really turn it into an institute where we focus on educating and training leaders in emotional intelligence. That is my life calling. Yeah.
Hmm, that's a big one. You are not thinking small. I love that. You see, I tell you, I love to move with people who think big, not thinking small. That's a beautiful one. And I'm rooting for you. That's a possibility already. It has happened. I firmly believe that. So finally, Camila, if you could leave women leaders with one declaration for the next decade, what would that be?
To declare to yourself that you're good enough, declare to yourself that you're worth it to have whatever you want, and remember that you are in that room to serve. You are not your title.
Remember that you are in that room to serve. You are not your title. That's a beautiful one. Beautiful. So finally, Camila, for folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions, or be a part of the beautiful stuff that you're doing, how can that be possible?
That's such a gentle opportunity. You can reach me on LinkedIn. My name, Camilla Calberg, and on YouTube, I have some free videos on how to find a new job and leadership, but it's all about emotional. So I'm really setting you up in a different way for success. I've tried that. Reach out to me on camillacalberg.com uh, and also book a session if you feel I can help you help you accelerate your life and your leadership so that you get more out of life. Because at the end, Alicia, I think you're agreement with me. It's about enjoying more of life rather than trading in hours for money.
That's so true. What a deep word and a beautiful reminder. So that's going to be the end of the show, Camila. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
That was a beautiful